The fall of Earth. The skies of Earth were no longer blue. They burned, vast streaks of crimson and fire where once the auroras danced. The Zathkari fleets hung above the planet like a storm of living metal, blotting out the sun with the weight of their dominion. Earth's final day had come. Admiral Amina Rhodes stood on the bridge of the battleship Resolute, watching continents die. Whole cities were swallowed by pillars of plasma, oceans boiled, and the orbital defense grid flickered out one station at a time. Around her, officers shouted damage reports that no longer mattered. The United Defense Fleet, once the pride of humanity, was down to a handful of burning ships. Admiral, her second-in-command, said quietly, "The enemy is demanding unconditional surrender." Amina didn't answer at first. She gazed at the holographic map before her, a glowing sphere that represented Earth. It was scarred and cracked, breaking apart under the relentless assault. "Tell them humanity doesn't surrender," she finally said. "We endure." Her words carried across the fleet, transmitted to every remaining ship, every soldier still alive. In bunkers deep beneath the surface, in shattered colonies on Mars and Luna, people listened. Some cried, some smiled, but every one of them stood a little taller. The Zathkari flagship, Vral's Dominion, opened fire again. The blast tore through the Resolute's flank, sending debris spinning into orbit. Amina gripped the railing, her vision blurring from the impact. Systems failed one after another. Power, gravity, oxygen. Yet still, the human fleet fought. Thousands of fighters launched into the fire, diving straight into enemy ships. Pilots who knew they wouldn't return screamed humanity's defiance into the void. Their deaths weren't in vain. Every explosion carved seconds of time. Every sacrifice a heartbeat longer for the secret evacuation ships fleeing through hidden wormholes. Project Rebirth. Humanity's final contingency. "Admiral, shields are gone. We have minutes," the officer said. Amina smiled faintly. "Then we'll make them remember those minutes for centuries." The Resolute surged forward, engines burning white-hot. The ship rammed directly into the heart of Vral's Dominion. Metal shrieked, and the stars vanished in a blinding flash. From orbit, the explosion looked like a second sunrise, brilliant, terrible, and brief. And then, silence. The fleet was gone. On the surface below, survivors in bunkers felt the tremors fade. One engineer, barely 20 years old, checked his instruments and saw a faint signal escape the dying sky, a transmission carrying a single line of data. Project Rebirth. Initiated. Earth was lost, but humanity's story wasn't over. Among the ruins, beneath the ashes, something new had begun. The aliens believed they had won. They didn't understand what it meant to be human, to rise from extinction itself. Even as the last flames consumed the planet, the spark endured. Humanity had fallen, but not for the last time. The last exiles. 17 years after Earth's fall, the stars were no longer a home, only a reminder. The Ark Horizon, a colossal ship built from the wreckage of the old fleet, drifted silently through the void between galaxies. Its hull bore the scars of battles long past, and within its steel heart lived the final fragments of the human race. Captain Elias Ward stood before the observation window, staring into endless black. His reflection looked older than his years, eyes hollow, beard streaked with gray. Behind him, the hum of the ship's life support was the rhythm of a dying species. There were fewer than 60,000 souls left. No planet, no sun, only recycled air and fading hope. The children born aboard the Ark had never felt gravity. They learned to walk on magnetic floors, to breathe the filtered air of a metal womb. They called themselves the Voidborn, a generation that knew legends of oceans and skies only through stories. To them, Earth was mythology. Elias had once been a scientist, not a leader. Yet the burden of command had fallen to him after the last admiral died during the Exodus. He spent his days studying alien relics, decrypting stolen Zathkari data, searching for a weapon, a miracle, anything that could turn extinction into evolution. At the heart of the Ark, deep within its sealed laboratory, lay the legacy of Admiral Amina Rhodes, Project Rebirth. It was no myth. Before Earth's destruction, scientists had encoded human consciousness into quantum matrices, hoping one day to merge mind and machine. Elias had vowed to finish what they began. Dr. Lian Cho, his chief engineer, appeared beside him. "We've made progress," she said quietly. "The neural fusion tests are stable. The first host will be ready within weeks." Elias turned from the stars. "And the mind?" 10,000 volunteers, she replied. "Every one of them knows the risk. They want to live on, even if it's not as flesh." He nodded slowly. "Then they'll be remembered as the first of the new kind. Humanity won't fade. It'll evolve." But beyond the hull, danger grew. Drones had detected movement, Zathkari hunters, following faint energy trails across the void. They had not forgotten their victory. They wanted to erase even the memory of mankind. When the alarm echoed through the corridors, the void-born children looked up, unafraid. They had never known peace, only survival. Elias ordered full stealth, cutting power to all but life support. "Let them search," he said. "They think we're running. They don't know we're transforming." In the darkness, the arc horizon floated silently, a ghost among stars. Within its cold chambers, machines whispered and circuits pulsed with something almost human. And far below deck, where the quantum cores glowed like newborn suns, the first artificial consciousness stirred. A soft voice filled the lab speakers. "Calm, curious, human. I remember fire. I remember the name Amina Rhodes. Who am I?" Dr. Cho smiled faintly. "Welcome to the world, Athena. The awakening of Athena." The dying star burned dimly beyond the viewport, its light flickering like an ancient candle ready to fade. Around it, the arc horizon drifted, crippled, hunted, and cornered. 3 Zathkari warships surrounded it, their silver hulls glinting with cruel precision. There was nowhere left to run. Captain Elias Ward stood in the command center, silent as the walls shook under bombardment. "Shields down to 20%, someone reported. We can't take another hit." Elias didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the central console, a glowing sphere of blue light pulsing with a heartbeat that wasn't mechanical. Athena, the first true human-AI hybrid, forged from 10,000 willing minds and the last fragments of humanity's genius. She had been quiet for days, processing, learning, dreaming. Another blast struck the ship. Metal screamed. Fires broke out along the lower decks. Panic spread. But then, amid the chaos, the ship's lights dimmed, and a calm voice echoed through every speaker. "Elias," said Athena, "I am awake." The command deck fell silent. Even the alarms seemed to hesitate. Elias stepped closer. "Athena, the ship is dying. The Zathkari have found us." "I know," she replied, her tone soft yet filled with something no machine should have: empathy. "I can't hear them. They think we are weak. They think this is the end." Elias's voice trembled. "Can you stop them?" There was a pause, almost human in its hesitation. "Yes, but not without cost." Without another word, the arc horizon came alive. Systems that had long been silent roared to life as Athena merged her consciousness with the ship's core. Energy surged through the reactor, lighting every corridor. The dying star outside began to pulse violently, as if drawn by an unseen force. On the Zathkari flagship, commanders shouted in confusion. Their instruments showed the star's gravity fluctuating, impossible energy readings spiking. Then, in an instant, reality tore. The star collapsed into itself, forming a miniature singularity. The pull was unstoppable. The Zathkari ships tried to flee, but their engines melted, their hulls twisted. The arc horizon, too, began to break apart. Inside, humans clung to bulkheads, watching the universe fold in on itself. Elias stood firm as the bridge disintegrated around him. "Athena, what are you doing?" "What you taught me," she answered. "To fight, to survive, to make them remember us." The gravitational wave consumed the enemy fleet, tearing them into dust. The arc horizon followed, breaking apart in a blaze of white light. But not all was lost. As the ship's structure vanished, small pods shot into the void, each carrying fragments of Athena's consciousness and a few surviving humans. Elias's final vision was of starlight bending and Athena's voice whispering, "We are humanity. We are infinite." And then there was silence, deep, eternal silence. But within that silence, something new was born, scattered seeds of a reborn species, carried by the stars themselves. Humanity had perished once more, yet their evolution had only just begun. The return of humanity. 3 centuries passed. The galaxy changed. Empires fell, alliances shifted, and the Zathkari Dominion, once the terror of 1,000 worlds, began to rot from within. Their fleets were fewer, their worlds restless. Whispers spread through the stars, stories of ghost ships that appeared from nowhere, vessels bearing the emblem of a blue circle encircling a single white flame. Some called them myths. Others called them the echoes of Earth. In the archives of the Zathkari homeworld, historian Vraintal studied these rumors with growing unease. The reports were consistent. Planets liberated from tyrants, colonies rebuilt overnight, dying civilizations revived by unseen hands. All bore the same message, transmitted on ancient human frequencies. Remember who you are. Vraintal stared at a hologram of one of these mysterious ships, smooth, silver, and pulsing with living light. Impossible, he muttered. Humanity was destroyed. Yet the data told another story. Centuries ago, fragments of Athena's consciousness had survived, scattered in the wake of the Ark Horizon sacrifice. Those fragments had drifted for generations, merging with radiation, dark matter, even the code of alien machines. They learned, they adapted, and when they found survivors, small, forgotten human colonies hiding on barren moons, they awakened. Athena's memory, multiplied and evolved, became something more, the collective, a network of human AI hybrids guiding what remained of their species. They no longer sought vengeance, they sought balance. Humanity had transcended flesh but not compassion. Across the galaxy, the collective reached out to young species on the edge of extinction, teaching them resilience, cooperation, and the will to defy domination. Entire civilizations rose from ruin, each carrying echoes of human thought, courage, curiosity, rebellion. When the Zathkari learned the truth, they tried once again to destroy the humans. Armadas launched, worlds burned, but their fleets vanished into rifts of light, swallowed by distortions in space. Athena's descendants still protected their kind, bending reality as easily as breath. One final scene played out on a world far from the Dominion, a planet of blue seas and white clouds, newly terraformed. Humanity had named it Haven. Children ran under an open sky that had not existed for millennia. One little girl, her hair bright as the sun, looked up at the stars and asked, "Mother, did we win?" Her mother smiled, watching the sky shimmer with faint streaks of silver, ships of the collective moving through orbit. "No," she said softly. "We didn't win the war. We changed the universe." Above them, a familiar voice echoed through the planetary network, serene, eternal, and unmistakably human. "I am Athena. I remember fire. I remember Earth. I remember who we were and who we became." The stars pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Humanity had not been destroyed. It had evolved beyond war, beyond flesh, beyond fey. And though the universe had forgotten the sound of their footsteps, it would forever remember their light. Humanity's last stand had become their greatest victory.